Bring in, as promised, Academy Award-winning documentary filmmaker Michael Moore. Michael, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is Rachel Maddow. Good evening, Rachel.
Good evening, Keith.
There's been a spike in the desire to own guns in Connecticut. Statewide, over 90,000 guns have been authorized for sale. You know how I feel about it.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
My fellow patriots and Americans. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast here live every Monday through Friday from 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. Usually on Saturdays, though, we cut the hours back a little bit. So we'll just kind of see where the night takes us tonight and take your calls. If you'd like to join in the conversation, give us a call at 1-800-580-4870. That's 1-800-580-4870. If you'd like to chat with me, the host, and other like-minded patriots, you can always join us at Patriot FB. That's PatriotFB.com. Use your Facebook credentials to log in if you got a Facebook account, or you can actually sign up for an account there at PatriotFB.com. Well, we've been running now for roughly about 3 days. Had a few hiccups today, and that was actually caused by me. We did some programming changes to add some new features, and it created some issues. But we got those resolved. Thank you for those individuals that kind of let us know that there were some things going on. And so we can get them resolved right away. That's customer service for you, though. Have a problem with Facebook? How long do you have to wait to get a response from them? You have a problem with PatriotFB.com, and we get it fixed within a few minutes. So I do apologize to our users for that. Nothing major, just some things. But you'll notice that we did make some changes to the site. The top menu bar now floats. In other words, it stays consistent. So. Well, in the 2-hour show tonight, we're going to try to fit in as much as we can before we head off into the weekend. Obviously we're going to, President Obama's back at it again, showing his true evil nature. We'll talk about that when we get back from the break. TSA's ramping it up, talking about TSA is now going to be searching your vehicles. Yep. So we'll bring that into the conversation. You listen to the show long enough, you'll know that we are firm supporters of the Constitution and the Patriot movement, but we are also advocates for those men and women that put on this nation's uniform. And out of all the stories that I hear and all the things that I see, this is the one that just gets me. That just gets me. We're going to be talking about the change of the rules of engagement are now putting our soldiers at risk. So we'll cover that probably in the second hour. We're hearing rumblings again about we know this president doesn't follow the Constitution. We know that for a fact. So now there's more of a concerted effort by this administration, also those that support this president, i.e. financial support, calling for him to sidestep the U.S. Constitution. Just unbelievable. And then, of course, the blinders are on when it comes to the IRS and their attack on the patriots of this country. We'll talk about that. And then something, that we really need to take notice is the IRS rule changes as it relates to political action groups. So we got a lot of things to cover in the short 2 hours that we're going to be here, unless you guys want to extend it to 3 by calling at 1-800-580-4870. This is your show. This is Fridays are always open. So if you want to join the conversation, give us a call or join us on Skype.
They say that the stock market's gonna crash. They say that every single one of us is gonna let down while they walk across our back. But I'ma stand up. I'm gonna put my fists in the air. No, I don't wanna have to bring my guns, but I'll be ready if it goes there. But you can let down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna. You can play it dead if you wanna. Get what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country, me and you right now. But I don't wanna. So let's stand up, put our fists in the air. No, we don't wanna have to bring our guns, but we'll be ready if it goes there. 'Cause we're the epitome of what's left of the USA. We're hardworking, honest, and we make our money the good old-fashioned way. But you can lay it down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna. You can play it dead if you wanna. Forget what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country, me and you right now. But I don't wanna. No, I don't wanna. We'll say that the cause is fine. With a little hard work and prayer, we can get her back on her feet. 'Cause I believe she belongs there. So let's stand her up and brush off the dirt and dust. A lady liberty needs our help from every single one of us. But you can lay it down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that tyranny is totally okay if you wanna. You can play it dead if you wanna. Get what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country, need and you right now. But I don't wanna. No, I don't wanna. But I don't wanna. No, I don't wanna. So let's stand up and put our fists in the air. No, we don't wanna have to bring our guns, but we'll be ready if it goes there, yeah. So let's stand up and put our fists in the air. No, we don't wanna have to bring our guns. No, we don't wanna have to bring our guns, but we'll be ready if it goes there. Ready if it goes there. Ready if it goes there. Be ready if it goes.
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us here live every Monday through Friday from 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com for the latest news and information as it relates to Patriot news. Now you can also join us, more so, at our news site, Patriot FB. That's Patriot, F as in Frank, B as in Bravo.com. listen to us. We're going to be doing some changes. We've already made some changes to the site. Everything's running, kind of give you guys a status of where we're at. Now we need to start driving people to it. All of our listeners out there over the weekend and stuff, you know, we've actually created a Facebook page to help promote the site. And we'll share that with you a little bit later on in the show. But now we just need to start inviting people. Now we're going to be adding some features to the site over the weekend. No downtime though. What we're going to do is we are going to get Spreaker. We'll get some audio feeds. Now the good news about this is that you know, you listen to this show long enough, you're gonna realize the goal of this is to build a Patriot network, be it social network, media, whatever. And you know, we're starting with patriotfb.com. That's our social network. Now we're going to then turn into that. We've actually kind of partnered loosely with some other podcasters and broadcasters. And our goal is to have 24/7 programming, Patriot music, Patriot shows. So that way you only have to come to one site, patriotfb.com, to get all the latest news, information, talk shows, and such. So we're going to be turning on the Spreaker system over the weekend. We'll be doing some testing on that, so you'll probably be able to hear us do the testing. But we're going to, you know, start out with a few shows, including the Midnight Patriot, which will always air from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. We've got some other, as we line them up, we have other broadcasters. We're going to be rebroadcasting their shows. And we'll also be offering live shows for those. So if you're a podcaster, or if you know of a podcaster or even a radio show that'd like to be on the patriotfb.com site, you know, let them know about us. Have them contact us. Best way they can reach us now is go to patriotfb.com. Friend Jeff Norton, you know, my badge, my coin, you know, have them friend me and then send me a message. Or they can just post it on our chat room, and we'll get in touch with them. You know, this is all about getting the message out. That is our number one intention here. It's not about egos. It's not about ratings. It's not about the money. It's about getting the message. And so, like I said, if you know of someone, feel free to send them our way. You know, we want a 24/7, 365-day a year feed of Patriot news, information, shows, music, everything. So we encourage you to share our content and to help get the word out. So tonight, you know, like I said, tonight is a kind of a call-in night. It's kind of set up for you, the guests, and me to talk. You're the guest tonight. If you'd like to join the conversation, give us a call at 1-800-580-4870. That's 1-800-580-4870. Or, of course, you can Skype us. Our Skype number is The Midnight Patriot. That's our Skype name, The Midnight Patriot. That's another way that you can reach us, is via Skype. Love to hear from you. But, man, it's been an incredible week. I mean, think about it. We launched a site going head-to-head against the monster of social media, Facebook. That's not a easy undertaking by no stretch of the means. It's been very daunting. This weekend we got some work that we're gonna finish up in the studio and stuff like that, but I'm gonna take it easy. I hope you guys don't get too upset that I don't respond to your requests and stuff. But I'm just gonna take it easy. Now, I was planning on going shooting tomorrow, but it looks like it's going to be about 19 degrees. I don't know. I might still go. You know, try out my gear in cold weather. But you know, actually, when you're shooting the kind of weapons we shoot, it could be a blizzard, and it's still fun. Still fun. So, still got a full weekend ahead of us, but I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to Christmas too. Got a Christmas tree up. Sandy's done a wonderful job. A wonderful job getting our family Christmas tree up, and as I'm working on the show and stuff. So, but it's just it's that time of year. It's a magical time of year. But let's get to the news. Talking about time of the year, this president just has no. Well, I don't want to say that. I mean, a lot of people will say, well, he's inept. He doesn't know. He is an ineffective president. I have to argue with you that assessment. And the reason why I argue with it is I think he knows exactly what he's doing. I think that he definitely has a plan, and he is definitely executing that plan. There's no doubt about it. And, and to tell you how brazen this president is, at a Hanukkah Jewish holiday, President Barack Obama, at a Hanukkah, I got to stress this is a Jewish holiday, President Barack Obama gets up there and says, for the first time in a decade, we have halted progress of Iran's nuclear program. Obama said, well, I don't know about that. Last time I read, they're still producing. We actually gave them back their scientists to help them. Key parts of the program we roll back even though the toughest of the sanctions remain in place. I don't know, Mr. President, I think you need to talk to Tehran, because that's not the way they see it. That's not the way they see it. That's good for the world, and that's good for Israel. Okay. This tells you how delusional. But I don't think it's delusional, because delusional would denote some type of illness or ailment of the body, or the mind in this case. I don't think he's delusional. I think he's very calculated. I think he's very cunning. Hitler, the Nazis, as they were marching the Jews into the death camps, were the whole time, we're just going to relocate you. We're going to say, nice. Oh, take the shower. Right? That's what this president, in essence, is doing. He's standing in front of the country that's going to suffer the most by Tehran, Iran's procurement and development of nuclear material whatsoever. It's Israel is the one that's going to suffer the most. Because they've already made it perfectly clear the reason why they're going to build them is so they can bomb Israel. Don't you get it? You're not dealing with sane people, and you can't threaten, mutual assured destruction worked in the Cold War, because you had people on both sides of the fence there, the wall, that didn't want to die. They didn't want to die. They didn't think death was a solution. When you're dealing with Tehran, the Muslims, the radical Muslims, that is the only solution. The only solution. So by you saying, and the fact that the sanctions, the only reason why they were upset about the sanctions was because it was keeping them from getting the resources they needed to complete their projects. Now that you opened up the sanctions, you give them money, and with money, you can buy anything. With a couple $1 billion, I am sure that I could probably purchase a weapon of mass destruction as a person. So you can only imagine what a country could do. Right? So, but you can't say that this president is naive. I'm a firm believer that they have to destabilize, because we are under control of the military complex. There are vast amounts of money at risk here, or at stake. So those people will do whatever it takes to keep that money going. And my observation is they tried to destabilize during the Syria war. They couldn't do it. The president didn't have the people. The American people. They don't want another war. They don't want to bail out that country. Because both sides of the fight, there's not anybody that we, as you and I as citizens, want to associate with. Now, our government has no problem associating with Al-Qaeda, terrorist organizations that rape women, that kill babies, that cut off heads of priests, chop off hands of Christians. This administration has no problem whatsoever supporting that behavior. Because it's all about destabilizing. It's all about finding the next enemy. Now, when we had Russia, Soviet Union, we were dealing with an enemy that had similar aspirations for its people and its young and its growth. But when you're dealing with radical Islam, it's a whole different fight. You can't you can't think that because you want to live and you want to see your kids grow up and be, successful and prosperous and all that, you can't take that and transfer that on radical Islam. Because the only thing they want to see is the destruction of the infidel over the non-believer. That's it. And however way they can get it is the way that they're going to get it. Be it by sword, be it by gun, or be it by nuclear warhead. And I don't think this administration, I don't think the powers that be are that naive. Because look at me, I'm a lonely broadcaster, and I figured it out. I don't think they're that naive. I think of all things, they are cunning. They know this. But they have to in order to keep the machine and keep in power, they have to keep the country or the world in constant combat or flux. Think about it. If the world was peaceful, if the world was behaved, there wouldn't be jobs for politicians. There wouldn't be jobs for generals. Think about it. So it's kind of like giving grant money to a professor. Well, in this case, we'll just call it a climatologist and say, here's your money so you can employ yourself and keep your research going. And if you want more money next year, you have to prove that there's global warming. So what data do you think is going to rise to the top? That's what we're finding out now. That's what we're finding out now. Is that, these scientists have skewed the numbers so they can keep that grant money going. It's kind of like that with the that's what I'm saying with the military industrial complex. They got to create an enemy where an enemy wasn't there so they can continue to wreak the vast amounts of money. The government's in the best interest of the government as well, because the government then can keep us in fear. And when we're in fear, we will give up our rights. It's obvious. Look at what we allowed to happen after 9/11. We allow the government to come in and search our homes and, invade our bedrooms and listen to our phone conversations and, turn on our video cameras. We allowed them to do that. We allowed them with the Patriot Act. We as a country, as a nation, I didn't, but as a nation, we fully supported that move because we were afraid of the bin Ladens under your bed. See, now the government has complete control of you. And they're moving very quickly to get control of your health care. And that's a ploy. You grab the health care. Typical coup is you grab the health care. Because with the health care, you can control the people. Then after you grab the health care, you take care of the military. Well, this president has let go or fired 13 and counting top generals and military brass, and several hundred, almost 400 mid-level. It's coming, America. It's coming. Now, when we get back, of course, we're going to talk about the this administration's change of the rules of war and how it's affecting our men and women. We're also going to talk about how this president is now possibly going to sidestep Congress altogether. But you're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. If you'd like to join us in the chat room, go to patriotfb.com, use your Facebook account, or create your own account, and you can join us in the chat room. Give us a call at 1-800-580-4870.
Ourselves and our own self-destruction. God only knows we need help. Looking for a hero, someone who cares about the future, not about themselves, but about the idea of America. We need a hero, someone who shows the way. We need a hero who speaks for the people and what we have to say. We still believe this land of the free is still America.
out-of-control spending, a government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com.
America, welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us here live every Monday through Friday from 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. Or if you'd like to give us a call, you can give us a call at 1-800-580-4870. You can Skype us. Our Skype name is The Midnight Patriot. Or you can also join us for chat at patriotfb.com. All you need is your Facebook account if you got one. If you don't have one, don't want to share it with us, and you can actually create an account right there and go right into the chat. A lot of neat stuff going on in there. You know, like I said earlier, we're going to, I've been uploading documentaries on the New World Order and all sorts of things. It's all about education. It's all about getting the word out, getting the message out, and communicating. Waking people up. Waking people up. You know, before we went off to the break, we were talking about the dismantling of our military. Now there's another attack on the men and women who put on this nation's uniform. And there is a direct correlation between the spike of deaths, U.S. troop deaths, tied to stricter rules of engagement. The number of U.S. battlefield fatalities exceeded the rate at which troops' strength surged from 2009 to 2010, prompting national security analysts to assess that coinciding stricter rules of engagement led to more deaths. So we're finding out that the rules of engagement changed, thus putting our men and women at risk. Now, you know, this is typically what happens when you have an administration who is not there to fight a war, but there to create conflict. See, and the reason why I say that is if you think about it, you know, like all schoolyard bullies, you know, ever been when you're younger, ever been in a battle with an individual? Some of us as adults have that, right? And it keeps on festering, keeps on going, and keeps on going, and keeps on going, and keeps on going. And, you know, everybody around you gets benefit from that. And let me explain this to you, because we as a society, we like conflict. People like conflict. They don't want to be a part of conflict. I actually heard a very respected media host say that. People like controversy, conflict, as long as they're not the controversy. It takes a very special person in more ways than one to stick it out and be part of that controversy. Think about it. But we'll all click on the videos of the car wreck. You know, remember Paul Watson? You know, this week. We'll all click on that. We'll all slow down when we see a train wreck. We'll do that. Well, that's kind of like what war is. You know, we got to keep it going. The networks love it because it keeps the ratings. It gives them something to talk about. The politicians love it because it keeps people at opposition of each other. The military industrial complex loves it because it keeps them rich. Right? So, like I was trying to say earlier, as I got off on that tangent, is when they change the rules of engagement, it has nothing to do with the safety of the soldiers, which it should have everything to do with the safety of the soldiers. You know, you're at war. And they got to drag this war on and on and on. So they change things to drag it on and on. Whereas if I'm a firm believer. I know Marines. I know Army guys. I know Navy guys. I know Air Force guys. Coasties. You're not in this argument, so I'll leave you out. But I had to mention you. I didn't want you to feel left out. But if you give a Marine the order to wipe out their enemy, this battle would have been over a long time ago. You know, because that's just how they roll. That's how it's done. You know, Army, Navy as well. But if you know, I mean, I know Marines, I know Army guys, and I'll tell you, the Marines are a completely different group. They are completely cut from a different cloth than everybody else. As I said, you give a Marine an order of, you know, decimate your enemy, it's going to happen. You know, it's going to happen. Same with the Army. I don't want to leave anybody out, but like I said, it's usually the Marines are the first one in. So, you know, so there's a reason why they change these rules of engagement so they can perpetuate the war, keep it going. And we as Americans, we as human beings in our nature, we don't put a stop to it. So we're somewhat culpable. You know, and I'm not one of these people that say, well, we got to stop war just to stop war. No, I'm a firm believer. If you piss us off enough, you know, go up and shake the hornet's nest. You're going to get stung. You need to get stung. You know, they did fly. Now Iraq, you know, didn't fly the airplanes in, but the Al Qaeda did. But of course, now we're friends with them. But we got to perpetuate. See how crazy that is? This administration has no desire of ending these wars. This administration, this government, the New World Order has no desire to bring peace to the Middle East. They have none whatsoever. And in the meantime, our men and women are put in harm's way and they're shredded. And when we get the upper hand and everything, they pull back. So they can keep it going. I'm all for turn them loose. You know, let them do the job that we send them over there to do. Because the politicians failed in their job, now we have to send in our military. And when our military comes in, and that's the stick I would be waving if I was running for presidency. I'd flat out say, look, the politicians, we're going to send those in to negotiate with you. 1 minute past the negotiation deadline, we send in the military, and there is no negotiation from that point forward. The only negotiation that we will do is your surrender. And that's up to us. And our men and women who put on this nation's uniform aren't going to stop until every last battle is fought and won. And until our flag is now flying over your capital. That's what I believe. You know, no more negotiations. You have, as president, you have 1 week to negotiate. Can't get it done peacefully, we send in our Marines. And God help you. Because, you know, that's just the way they roll. But the last thing I would be doing is changing the rules of engagement so that you can, like this administration has done, and now because of that, there are names of soldiers that I am sure that I've read off on this show that have lost their life, paid the ultimate price because of these changes made by politicians. See, that's another thing too. I'm a firm believer. You want to send a man and a woman into war, then your butt needs to be over there with them. You know, you need to be over there with them. Don't be sitting in some cushy office or go and play golf or flying around on Air Force One. But that's another topic. I digress. But we are seeing, Washington Times is reporting that the change of the rules of engagement have been directly tied to the deaths of American men and women soldiers. Now, coming back home, you know, we talked about, you know, the government spying. We talk about it every night because there's always something new. You know, the Guardian said that Snowden, they only released about 1%, so there's 99% more out there still to be released. It's crazy. But one of the things that we are seeing now is that, you know, the government is now going from a model of secrecy and spying to a physical attack on your constitutional rights. And what I'm talking about is they've implemented, and we reported this on the show, and it's out there, that now when you travel, and you know, they do it in the airports because it's convenient for them to do that. You know, proven in the airports and deployed in American cities. It's only a matter of time. But now they're putting out these detention pods. So when you get off it's not when you get on the airplane, but it's when you get off the airplane. They're scanning you. And if you have a arrest warrant or some other criminal activity, or if they deem you to be a threat, that's why I don't fly airplanes. If I fly an airplane, I'm flying myself. Because, you know, I'm definitely a threat. Make no bones about it. You know, now that I have my own social media site and I don't have to worry about going to Facebook jail, you're going to see more and more of it. If you go out to patriotfb.com, start speaking my mind a little bit more because I don't have fear of censorship. You know. So you're going to start seeing the real Jeff. Not saying that this isn't the real Jeff, but you start hearing me a little bit more, be a little bit more physical. Because, see, I come from the school, Chris Kyle's school of thought. Violence does solve problems. And there is a point in which, like I said, let the politicians do their thing. And when the negotiations are over, then send in the Marines. Send in our military, the men and women of our military. And once they show up on your doorstep, it gets ugly. So, you know, I'm a big proponent that once we hit the streets it gets ugly. We're in the negotiation phase now. But there's going to be a time in which negotiations are over. And at that time, we send in the Patriots. And it will get ugly. But, like I said, this government they're ratcheting it up. They're the ones who are invading our personal privacy, now our physical being, our physical person, by setting up these detention pods in airports. They're already in some. Basically, you got to walk through them to get out of the airport, and then they can lock you in there. Right? It's only a matter of time before they start gassing you. Worked so well for Hitler. Worked so well for Hitler. But now, word is that they're expanding that operation. They are now searching vehicles in the airport parking lots. And then we're not talking about just walking by with their dog sniffing, or their bomb sniffing dogs and all that. They're talking about physically searching your vehicle. Now, I got to ask, we haven't had a terrorist attack at a airport. Now, of course, we had the knucklehead that went in shooting, and there's stories though about that as well. But you're going to have that everywhere. But of course, then they're going to use that as their excuse. They're going to do it at the airports. Then they're going to start doing it at the malls. They're going to do it at train stations. They're going to start doing it at concerts. They're going to probably start doing it at gun shows. I already know they drive through the parking lot taking pictures of people's license plates. I already know that. They're already using their drones to fly overhead to watch gun sales. There's pictures of that too, where they released them. And it's funny. It's not funny. It's sad, but they released them saying, see, there's a legal transaction of gun sales. No, there's not. There's no illegal transactions of gun sales. An individual has a right to sell their personal property, period, whatever it may be. They have the right to sell the personal property. Your laws apply to to businesses, not to individuals. Your commerce laws apply to businesses, not to the person. The only reason why you got to ship your firearm to an FFL dealer when you want to transfer is because that's who the Postal Service can't deliver it to a private individual. Once again, it's a regulation of the business, not of the people. But if you're sitting at your home and you want to sell your firearm or whatever it may be to another person, you have every right to, under the law. Now, they're trying to clamp down on that. Feinstein last week. Trying to clamp down, and they're citing false information. The criminals are getting these guns because they're not buying them from law-abiding citizens. They're buying them from other criminals, right? They're doing the straw purchase. But all this is why regulating private individual sales is all it is building up a database. Because the government truly doesn't know who has what. They don't. All they know is gun was made, gun was sold to a dealer, a wholesaler then gave it to a distributor then gave it to a dealer, and dealer then sold it to XYZ person. But XYZ person sold it to, we don't know. And that's where it stops. But they're trying to now regulate personal property. And the danger of this is for obvious reasons, Second Amendment, but the danger is even greater. The government's going to say, well, you can't sell that stuff on Craigslist. You can't sell your car. Well, you can't sell, you got to register it and they get a tax off of it. The government wants to know everything you buy and sell, and the reason why is so they can tax you. In our community right here in Wisconsin, they were actually telling that you can only have one garage sale a year. Anything else like that was a business, and you had to have a license. See? It's amazing. But going back to the TSA, they're now going to be searching your cars. They're now going to be searching, in the airport parking lot, at the train stations, at the concert, wherever you go, they're going to be searching. And don't be surprised that they're going to be searching you in the street. Don't be surprised that when you drive through the toll booth, or they have mobile cameras that are going to be zapping your license plate. Make sure you paid your dues. Make sure you paid the government. It's crazy. Next thing you know, they're going to tell you that you can only come out of your house on certain days. Right? And that's all evil. But it would be a little bit better of a pill if they applied those same laws. Because darn well they're not going to apply those same rules to themselves. Darn well that these congressmen are going to, be able to walk through airport security, call their buddies, be able to go right through, not being searched. Nancy Pelosi is a good example of that. Private jets, military, jets, so that she can avoid being screened. They pass these laws and they don't follow them themselves. That's tyranny, men and women. Listeners, that's tyranny. That's what it looks like. So don't be surprised. You're going to see TSA agents standing outside. They're probably going to come in your driveway. Make sure your car's licensed. Make sure that you paid your wheel taxes. Make sure, make sure it's not putting out too much pollution. Make sure that it's, of the right build. See how that works? It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. But you're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. You can join the conversation at 1-800-580-4870. That's 1-800-580-4870. Or you can Skype us. Feel free to give us a Skype, the Midnight Patriot. I tell you to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. You can still follow us on Twitter, but Facebook, it's irrelevant. We now have patriotfb.com. So you can join us there at patriotfb.com. Out of control spending. A government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us here live every Monday through Friday from 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time, or on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com for the latest shows and information. You can also join us at our new sister site, patriotfb.com. That's patriotfb.com. And you'll actually, starting after this weekend, you will be able to listen to the shows right off of that. We're setting up a feed. And on top of that, not only you'll be able to listen to this show, but you'll also be able to listen to, we've got about 3 other podcasts that you'll be able to listen to during the day. Now, we'll announce that next week once we get them all up and running. I don't want to get the cart before the horse here. In economic news, as the seasons approach, of course, the President of the United States, they announced their numbers. Job report, they added 203,000 new jobs, so unemployment's about 7%. The thing that they are not telling you, though, is about 41% of those new jobs were for the government. That's right. 41% of the new jobs were government-related jobs. So if you adjust that, the number is much less, right? But to be honest with you, we don't ever go by those numbers anyways. And the reason why we don't go by those numbers is just because of the fact that they're not real numbers. And let me explain. There's a great website, and everybody needs to go. Now, it is a subscription-based website, but they do show or give you some basic information. Shadow government statistics. If you go to shadowstats.com, created by John Williams. Now, let me explain to you the way that their unemployment chart works. I'm just going to read it to you off the site so I don't get anything missed. The seasonally adjusted SGS alternate unemployment rate reflects current unemployment reporting methodologies adjusted for SGS. Estimated long-term discouraged workers who were defined out of the official existence in 1994. That estimate is added to the BLS estimate of U6 unemployment, which includes short-term discouraged workers. In other words, in 1994, it's all professor speak. Let me give it to you in layman speak. 1994, they basically took what they call short-term discouraged workers. Those are individuals who just left the labor force. Just said, I ain't going to be part of this anymore. I'm not going to put up with your unemployment. I'm just going to leave. I'll go find something to do. Now typically, those individuals are probably in the black market of employment. But they took those numbers out. Now, if you add those numbers back in, unemployment is now hovering just shy of 25%. 25%. Just shy. And, and the way that I judge these types of numbers is I just list out 10 people that I know, and then I ask myself how many of them are unemployed. And I know out of the 10 people that I just, off the top of my head, I'm just listing names of people I know that 3 of them are unemployed, and I know 2 of them, 3 of them are unemployed, and 2 of them are not working in the profession that they went to school for. So that number of about roughly 25% is probably accurate, very accurate. But you can get the real numbers. Go out to shadowstats.com. It's a great website. But carrying on our economic news before we get into the rest of the show. Layoffs today. Consol Energy, 80 individuals. Avidor Performance Materials, less than 20. Unilever, 2,000. Unilever, 2,000 people. Modine, 20. Xerox Commercial Services, Gary, North Carolina, 168. Pfizer in Ireland, 150. Minnesota State University, Moorhead, 6. And Bath Iron Works, 118. Companies that are closing today: TV3 Broadcasting, Doug's Market, O'Toole's Bar and Lounge. Yeah, wait. Okay. It's going through here. House of Props in Los Angeles. Wow. They're closing. You know, it's unbelievable. Now, getting to the Obamacare. You know, because I'm a firm believer that Obamacare is causing a lot of this unemployment. Obviously, the policies of this administration are causing all of the unemployment, right? Got to blame the policies. They're not protecting the people. They're not creating an economic environment in which jobs grow. People are employed. But like I said, that's not by his incompetence. I think that's by design. Because when people are, not employed, they're unemployed, and when they're unemployed, they rely on the government for their subsistence. And so then it's counterintuitive during the election cycle for you to vote, if you're such a person, to vote against the hand that feeds you. Right? That's what this administration's counting on. That's why it's so important that they get everybody enrolled in Obamacare as they can before the midterms. And they get people dependent upon the government as quick. That's why the government, when, I don't know about you, but if I was an administrator and I knew that 20 million Americans just lost their insurance, I couldn't sleep at night to know that I was the cause of that. But this president has no problem sleeping. Because what he did is, the 20 million unemployed, you don't care about them. They're the middle class. This president, it's a two-frontal. If you look at it, he is propping up those that don't, and he's also making wealthy the one percenters. That's right. This president has actually been more favorable to the one percenters than any other president. And the reason why I ask is because they're depressing the values. If you're rich in this country, you're doing very well because you're buying assets. Go to Florida. Condominiums that were bare, that were vacant, are now filling up because everything's so cheap. But the only people that can participate in that are the 1%. You and I are struggling to pay our bills, to make ends meet. The one percenters, they don't care. They see everything at a fire sale discount. So they're buying it up. Thus, they're benefiting the most from this administration ever in real estate and other markets. But it's the middle class that's getting squeezed. And of course, then those that don't work and stuff, they're getting all the benefits free. But that's by design. Do you not see that? That's not by an unfortunate incident. That's by design. They're fundamentally eroding the values and the middle class of this country so they can get more power, and with more power, they can pass more laws. And then one day you're going to wake up and we already are an oppressed nation. A lot of people are like, there are certain cities in this country that you can be walking down the street and be harassed by a police officer just because you look funny, just because you don't fit in, just because you're taking a picture. It happens. Now, it might not be happening in Smallville, your hometown, but it is happening. You can't drive on the highway without being monitored, without being traced. You can't have conversations with other people. You can't speak out against politicians without going on a list somewhere. Right? You can't. That's not free. That's not freedom. That's not what our forefathers had envisioned for us. But getting back to Obamacare, it's every day. Now the new thing is that you went out and signed your life away. You gave the government your information, and they've got it. It's in a database. I promise you, they've got your information. With the hopes that you were going to get insurance, which they don't show you the insurance that you're going to get, which is fraudulent in itself anyways. But now the report is, this is actually coming from Huffington Post.
The insurance that you think you do, after all. After a month of intense fixes and even a promising spike in enrollment, insurance companies have now come out to say that they're not always getting their customers' information from healthcare.gov, and the Obama administration isn't disclosing the extent of the problem. Zach, this is a shocker. Something's wrong with the healthcare and Obamacare. People aren't telling us the whole story.
Yeah, big surprise, right? I think the thing that's interesting here is, the PR campaign for how the website was fixed. Earlier this week, last week, there was this big fuss from the administration that we've made a lot of progress, and it turns out, they have made a lot of progress. A lot of the stuff that wasn't working on the website is now working. But the website was so badly broken that you could actually go sign up for health insurance and not end up getting covered. And I think one of the things that's really terrible about this whole website problem is
how widespread is that problem, though?
They don't even know. I mean, they think it's widespread enough that there are industry groups in the insurance industry that are making a big deal about how, okay, we're going to try and clean up this mess so that we don't have a total catastrophe on our hands in January when people start going to the doctor, thinking that they're covered, and then find out, okay, well, that's a $10,000 knee surgery or something.
Right.
I think this is the type of problem for Obama that could have been avoided from a public relations standpoint, because signing up for insurance has always been really, really terrible. It's always been really frustrating, and dealing with insurance companies has always been super annoying. Now this website is so bad, it's actually made that process worse and made people blame the government for things that are typically frustrations they direct at the private sector. So I think this has really turned into a serious problem for the administration, and I don't really know what how this ends up being cleaned up from a PR perspective.
Is there an end in sight, not to the PR piece of it, but the actual functionality piece of it? In other words, in 6 months, will we be saying, okay, at least everything works? We're still complaining about it, but at least it works.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you're not actually signed up for health insurance, right? You think you were. If the insurance company never actually got the data, I mean, they could make a reasonable complaint. Like, look, we should not be responsible for paying claims, for paying benefits if we never actually got the information and this person was never signed up into our system. It becomes a real problem. Who is liable for that situation? Clearly, you don't want somebody to be paying $10,000 for a surgery they thought was going to cost $200 or something.
Right.
But it's really unclear who you do end up getting to pay for this stuff, and it could be a really complicated legal battle getting say the government to pay for it, and that's not good.
There you go. Legal battle, and we talked about that. We had Rodney Conover was over here talking about how this is all big, nothing but a scam, one big Ponzi scheme. It was only a matter of time before the government came back and basically said, oh, we're all subsidized. Oh, we screwed up. No, they didn't. It was by design. We talked about that extensively when Rodney was on the show. Now, the other part of Obamacare, the launch is out, and they're saying that one in four individuals are still having problems signing up for the website. But even worse than that, and we've actually talked about this when we were discussing Obamacare and the fix, and we said that there's no way that they could do the fixes that they're doing and still have a quality or secure product. There's just no way. I mean, we know, here at the Midnight Patriot, me, Jeff Norton, I know how this stuff works. And we're finding out that this administration is, full speed ahead and completely disregarding your security. And, don't take my word for it. We'll get you the experts. But this is actually on CNBC. David Kennedy, TrustSec, he's the CEO of a company called TrustSec. They're a technology firm that specializes in online security.
As a security assessor, you can see how the website's pieced together. And we identified a lot of critical flaws, and that's what we testified from in front of Congress. And on November 30th, none of those had been addressed yet.
We saw how the rollout went just in terms of working. I mean, what did that – are you shocked that we could spend so much money and it wouldn't work and they didn't even address security?
I am. When you looked at the October 1st launch date, that's why I started getting interested in the security aspect of it. Normally what happens in a rollout of a website is the production piece, the piece that keeps it up and running, is the number one most important piece of it. So all of the effort goes into that part, and then security's kind of bubbled around that. And so if they can't keep the website up, that means that there was no security around it either. And that's why, a lot of security researchers and myself started looking at the website, looking at the flaws, and there was a significant amount of them out there. It's pretty shocking.
David, it's Lizanne Saunders from Schwab. What about the ripple effects between what they might do to the front end to at least improve the optics of this thing? Could it make then the back end even less secure than it is right now?
Yeah, if you look at the report that was released, they had fixed 400 bugs. None of those were addressed in security. But what happens is you're rushing out and you're slapping new servers in, you're slapping new hardware in, and you're trying to rush to keep the website, the front end that we see every day, up and running. And unfortunately, when you do that and you don't do any testing around it, you introduce new exposure. So, it's definitely possible, and there hasn't been any fixes yet. So there's more, a good possibility that more exposures were introduced to the website itself.
Yeah, David, it's Ben White at Politico. I guess, could you talk a little bit about what they did on security? It seems to me like they essentially said, we don't care that much about this being secure for both the user and the government if it's got all these pathways into other elements of the government. And what should they do? Should they shut it down, as Chairman Rogers told us earlier, and completely revamp the security? Like, what's the solution to this problem?
Well, if you look at the website, it doesn't appear that security was a thought as they built the site, and that's unfortunate because it takes a lot of sensitive information: our social security numbers, first name, last name, address, things like that. And now they're adding the payment card portion to it, where you actually enter your credit cards. So there's a lot of sensitive information on there, and based on the exposures, there wasn't even basic levels of security put on it. So in order to fix these things, it's very difficult to fix a website that's already up and running. And the reason being is when you build, let's just take a house foundation. If your house foundation's flawed, you build your house in quicksand and it starts sinking, you have to gut the whole house out and redo the whole thing again. And that's similarly to what happens if you don't build security into the product. You have this foundation that's not good. In order to fix it, you have to really get down deep and dig everything out and refix everything, and that's very difficult to do.
There you go. And that's what we've been reporting all along here at the Midnight Patriot, but we have validation from an industry expert. The guy makes his money evaluating such websites. So it's only a matter of time. Hackers are going to get access to your information. But of course, this administration, this president, this president still thinks that there should be laws. You should possibly go to jail because you don't enroll in Obamacare. Yeah, he said that, because that's why they put it under the guise of the IRS. So if you don't pay your IRS bill and you do it, over a long period of time, you could possibly face criminal charges. And the fines that they're passing are small fines now, but they only grow over years. So they get to the point, and then they tack on penalties and interest, and then you can't get a job. That's the other thing. The other the intended consequence, I think, of this. And what I mean by intended consequence, most employers now, because you have to, they have to cover you in insurance, or you got to have insurance. So if you don't participate in the plan, or you refuse to participate in Obamacare, and you go to get a job, the employer, do you have Obamacare? No, I don't want it. Well, I'm not going to hire you. Because they're not required to cover insurance on you. Those mandates have been taken away, and they're probably going to stay away. Because this government, these politicians realize that you can't stiff it to the American businesses because they need their money. They need those revenues to pay for their campaigns. That's why they delayed the business mandate until after the midterms. And you're probably going to find that they're going to delay him even further. Even further. And to tell you, that they are already thinking about this. They're already thinking about how they can sidestep Congress. Some of the top activists, who are out there telling the lies and giving out the misinformation to the American people, are now asking the president just to sidestep Congress in general and do what he wants to do. Immigration, minimum wage. Congressional Democrats and liberal activists this week urged Mr. Obama to declare an end run around Capitol Hill, assert executive authority, and make as much progress as he can on the expansion agenda he's laid out for his second term. In other words, you have politicians, people that have, activists are activists, right? But you have politicians who are basically saying, usurp the Constitution of the United States, the oath in which they have bound themselves to by taking the office that they are taking. And they are informing or telling the president to do likewise, to usurp the Constitution. Now, we already know this president has already done that on many occasions. It's not a stretch to think that he won't do it here. But the damning part of all of this is, that I find, is now you have members of Congress who were elected by their citizens, the states in which they come, to go and represent those citizens. You have members of Congress, those individuals, basically saying, thumb the nose at the electoral of the political process here in the United States, and do what you want to do, Mr. President, as long as we get what we want. So not only do you have a president who's lawless, but you have congressional members who are lawless. Like I said, I don't have a problem with activists. That's what they do. Do I have a problem with them? Well, I have a problem with them, but they're not outside. They didn't take an oath to the Constitution of the United States. Not at all. But we have congressmen and women who did take an oath, trying to usurp it. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. When we get back from the break, we're going to be talking about, once again, IRS targeting conservatives. Complete denial. We'll talk about that. We'll wrap it up for the weekend. But you're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com.
Father, if he would approve. myself overjoyed. She told me a baby boy was on the way. But my face grew pale when I picked up the mail and saw my second Call of Duty game. I'm fighting for the things that I believe. It's time to go, my country's calling me. Now I'm walking through that door, leaving with my head high. Set my country through this war, without coming back with pride. I love my family, but I'll serve my country, and I'll be the man before the old to those above me. But I'll fight harder, and I won't be martyred, and I'll make it home so all my children know me. When I go walking through that door, leaving with my head held high. I'll serve my country through this war, but I'll come back with pride. And I'll go walking through that door, I'm leaving with my head high. Serve my country through this war, but I'll come back with pride. While my children love me, I'll come back alive. While my children love me, I'll come back
Out of control spending, a government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us every Monday through Friday from 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. Tonight will actually be a shorter show. We're going to only do a 2-hour show. Kind of roll into the weekends. Give me an extra hour so I can get back on patriotfb.com, get working on some of the code changes, getting them ready for the weekend and stuff. But, I want to take care of a little business here. Tonight's show is brought to you by Mountain View Off-Grid Living. That's mountainviewoffgridliving.com. Give Sue a call. Actually, you can join her at patriotfb.com during the show most of the nights and give her a chat for all of your prepping needs, food needs. She has a great deal. Last night's show we had Prepper Recon on. We were talking about canning meats and everything. And, Prepper, we were talking, 1 to 3 years, right? And that's good. I mean, that's a start. But, I'm a firm believer you got to have several different attacks. You should have your canning. You should also have your canned, and that's what we're going to talk about here with Mountain View Off-Grid-Living.com. And then you should also have your MREs, meals ready to eat. Have all three. And the reason why canned is important, Sue's running a special right now. If you go out to her website, mountainviewoffgridliving.com, she has canned meats with a shelf life of 15 years. That's 15 years on sale right now. And it's not Spam in a can. It's actually real meat, real cooked meat. And she was showing pictures. If you go out to patriotfb.com, that's patriotfb.com, and scroll there and go to the picture section, you'll actually see pictures of the food that you can make. Pulled pork. Oh my gosh. Last night, I'll tell you, we were all getting hungry listening to the show. And, so I highly recommend, give her a call. see what she's got. I know some of the guys were talking about getting an order together. And, I think that should be in everybody's stable. We're going to get our order together, get a couple Kansas back up to what we got going on. And, of course, then at the first of the year, we're going to get our annual year supply from Sue. They're at Mountain View Off-Grid Living. It's mountainviewoffgridliving.com. The other thing, too, is I want to tell you, we always talk about being a good steward, being a good brother's keeper, right? We constantly talk or constantly complain as patriots about the waste of the government on people that don't contribute. But I'm a firm believer that if you don't want the government to do it, you're always going to have people of need, especially children at this time of year, and the elderly. And my hat's off to freedomprepper.com. They've stepped up. They're actually doing a toy initiative or a donation initiative, $5. You can donate. You go out to freedomprepper.com/Christmas, and you can donate $5, and that money will go. 100% of that money will go to buying a gift for a child. That's what we got to do. That's what we have to do. We have to step up. We don't want the government to do it. Then we need to step up and do it for them. Because like I said, you're always going to have children and elderly, that need our assistance. Those that truly can't work, not the ones that are walking around. We see them. I don't even want to digress. Don't even want to go there. But you know who they are, right? You know who they are. But give freedomprepper.com/Christmas. Now, we have not forgotten about honoring our troops. We just got great news. We have no troops to announce this so far this month. Hopefully we'll keep that going. Keep that going. But we don't want to forget those men and women that serve this country on a daily basis. There's a travesty going on in this country right now. Travesty. We have 22 soldiers on average committing suicide every day. 22. They suffered the hardships, the pain of war, only to come home to lose the ultimate here in the United States. On average, it takes a soldier 354 days before they get their benefits through the VA system. That's a travesty. That's got to change. We as patriots, that needs to be, we have a lot of fights that we have ahead of us. And I'm a firm believer that when we take it to the street, and if it goes to the street, if we can't get it in the ballot box, and we have to take it to the street, we are going to need those men and women, those soldiers, because we are going up against a highly trained, highly skilled military police force, and we need those soldiers. And what better way to let them know, to get them and I'm not saying this to be selfish or cunning, unlike our president, who's devious. I'm saying this because this is a matter of fact, because this is what I believe. But we need to let these soldiers know that we have their back. And all we ask in return is that when this nation needs them, once again, because they've already paid the price, but once again, when the nation needs when we need them, will they have our backs? And I'll tell you, the other thing, if, God forbid, this country ever turns its guns on its citizens, those Marines, those Army, Air Force, those men and women of the military are going to have a hard time pulling the trigger on a fellow soldier. We need them. We need them for their expertise. We need them for their knowledge. We need them for their training. We need our soldiers, past and present. We need them. So take up their fight. Let them know that you care about them. Let them know that you're appreciative of what they do. So when you see a soldier in uniform, go up, shake them in the hand, look them squarely in the eye and say thank you. You know, when you have an opportunity to help a vet or to, you know, participate at a VFW event or whatever it may be, do it. Do it. Let them know that because there's going to be a time, and it's coming quick, that you're going to need, we as fellow patriots are going to need their help. So don't turn your back on them, because when you need them, they will turn their back on you, right? Let them know. Soldiers won't turn your back on people, but you get the drift. But let them know. You know, do whatever you can for the men and women who have paid the ultimate price. Now, as we wrap up the evening, you know, this administration. All right, so let me kind of paint you the picture here. This administration has been spying on us Americans. We already know that. This administration has no problem lying. There's a list of about 26 scandals going on right now. This administration has no problem breaking the law. None whatsoever. This administration has no problem changing the rules of the Senate, basically giving them a de facto coup d'etat of our government, takeover of our government. They can't take over the House yet, but I'm sure if they had majority there, they would find a way there too. So now what are they doing? To silence you even more? This administration is now, you know, forget about the fact that they're completely ignoring the requests to get to the bottom of the IRS scandals on the non-for-profits. You know, you got the FBI director. I don't know what investigation. You got Eric Holder. I don't know what investigation. We're, you know, weeks before. Oh, we're going to get to the bottom of this. Okay, weeks later, 2 weeks later, what investigations you got going on? I don't know. I just said that 2 weeks ago to get you off my back. Right? Well, now, here you go. See, and everybody's like, oh, well, you know, Obamacare's not that bad. Well, what do you mean Obamacare's not that bad? They're going to use the government to control the people, and here they are. Can you imagine if they had your health records? What kind of control they would have over you if they can control if you get medicine A or medicine B? You got cancer? Are they going to give you chemotherapy, or are they going to give you the latest drugs that actually work? I promise you the super elite will get the latest drugs that actually work. You will get an IV in your arm and get pumped full of poison. You know, that's how it works. And if you don't think it works that way, look at what the IRS is doing now. They're looking at doing a rule change right now. Our Internal Revenue Service quietly proposed, of course, quietly is the key word, quietly proposed new regulations aimed at 501c4 organizations during the Thanksgiving recess that Representative Darrell Issa, representative of California, chairman of the House Oversight Committee, called a crass political effort by the administration to get what political advantage they can when they can. In other words, it's a power grab. They're trying to consolidate. Like I said, I've said all along, this president is teeing it up for Hillary Clinton. That was the plan. That was the plan that they decided on when they met with the Bilderberger Group in Virginia before the election, when they conveniently disappeared for a day, and then Hillary dropped out and endorsed then Senator Barack Obama. And now she's coming back in light. I think it was all planned from day one. He would tee it up and then she would knock it out of the park. And I'm not talking about, the good knock out of the park. I'm talking about complete, total control. Tea Party groups and other conservative organizations were apparently singled out by the IRS. Yeah, not apparently, they were. We already know that. But now they're Washington Post reported last week that Treasury Department said a new rule may be both more restrictive and more permissive than the current approach. The new rule forces an organization known as social welfare groups that regulated within 501c4 of the tax code, conservative political operations, liberal groups before then, but we all know that liberal groups got fast-tracked. We know that. Begin to organize under the 501 umbrella. The 54-year-old rule says that the organization can become a social welfare organization if its primary engagement is in promoting in some way the common good and general welfare of the people of the community. The new IRS regulation now says campaign-related political activity cannot count towards a group's social welfare mission. So, you can build an acorn business who then can instruct people to fraud the government and sign up and get on these social programs, which in essence is campaigning, but you as a conservative group, you can't mention it. It's like the churches. The churches can't get political, even though the president and this administration is against their doctrine, or they lose their tax status. See the control? See the manipulation? Just unbelievable. I said that many a times, but it is. It is. So as you go into the weekend, all I've got to say is spend time with your families. Even though it is a Christmas season, even though it is the Christmas season and we're here, we're all joyous. And so remember that. Keep that going forward. Should be that way all year round. Every day of your life should be a Christmas because it is a gift. Every day you wake up is a gift from God. Now, you can be a spoiled child and take that gift and ruin it that day. Or you can be the grateful child and do something great with it. Every day. Every day is. So when you spend time or you have the opportunity to spend time with your family, spend time with them. Reach out to a family member you haven't talked to. Reach out to a neighbor. Get them engaged. We need more people. We need more people in this fight. We are such a vast minority, and every day we are being attacked and we're being singled out as crazies and kooks, and our children are being indoctrinated against us in schools through Common Core and such programs. And the only way that you're going to counter that is you got to get out and in your community, and you got to let people know that you're not what they say you are. I've always said, though, get right with yourself first, then get your family whole. After you get your family whole, then get out into the community. So start with that. Start with your family. Start with yourself. Do what you got to do within your own home. Start this week. Right? But the other part of it too is like Jesus tells you, the Bible tells you, shake the dust off your feet and move on. You only do so much. We're coming to a point in our country, in our world history, where we have to make a decision on what our freedom is going to look like going forward. And unfortunately, a vast majority of the American people, as long as they're coddled and nurtured by the government, are willing to take whatever they give them. But the reality of that's not free. They don't know what freedom is. Think about it. Your children that you born today are going to be born in an environment in which, you know, you can't travel down the street without being stopped by police. You can't go in the city without taking pictures and being stopped by police. You can't get on an airplane and travel from state to state without being strip searched. You know, you can be imprisoned because of your political views in the United States. Now, of course, what they do is they don't say that. When they lock you up, they find some other charge. They make stuff up because no one's perfect. None of them are. So, you know, think about that. It's not the world I want my children, my grandchildren growing up in. That's why we do this fight. Get the word out. One of the ways that we're giving you all the tools to get the word out. Now, we are looking for, here at the Midnight Patriot show, but more importantly, patriotfb.com. We are looking for individuals who would like to do a podcast. We will show you how to do it. We will give you the equipment to a degree. You know, we're not going to go out and buy you a full recording studio, but we'll help you to produce a show. We want a 24/7 radio show podcast network. Nothing but patriotism. So if you think you've got what it takes, or even if you don't think you've got what it takes, you know, because really, what it really takes to do a show is the desire to teach. The rest of it will come. Trust me, I know. So give us a call. Actually, you know, send us an email. Get on patriotfb.com. Click on my name. Send me a message. Jeffrey Norton. You'll know it by seeing my little coin there, the Patriot, my logo. We'll give you more information. We already, I think we'll have about 4 shows starting out, but we're going to be adding more. But we'd love to have you. You know, our goal is to have a 24/7 Patriot network. I think we've already built a pretty kick-butt social media site, and that will help as well. So if you think you got what it takes, if you have a desire, a drive to get the message out, then let us know. We'll work with you. But you're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show podcast. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. Also at patriotfb.com. That's Patriot Fox Bravo. FB.com. You can join using your Facebook account. If you want to create another account, go ahead. Now, everything you post, which is really cool about this site, we have a video section on the site. So you can actually go watch videos, movies. We're putting documentaries up there. I put like 4 or 5 up today. I'll put another 4 or 5 up after the show tonight. So you will be able to watch those documentaries. We're also putting up a source portion where documents and articles and news articles and stuff can be sourced and searched. So you can type in tyranny and get all the latest news on tyranny. We have a forums piece, which is really cool. So you can post topics up there. We also added by a state. So you can actually put things that are pertinent to your state up there for other people to see. We have a marketplace where you can advertise your products, your services, sell them for free. We're not going to charge you for that. You know, it's all free. So get out there, take a look at it. More importantly, get the word out. You know, just don't send out likes because, you know, people liking the site versus sign. We need people to sign up. We need people to enroll, to be engaged. So invite 100 of your friends personally by email this weekend to the site. That would be outstanding. That's how we're going to grow this. That's how we're going to take our movement away from corporate-controlled media. But with that, I just want to say, may God bless you. May God keep you. And until we talk again on Monday, if God willing, Good night, America. If I Were the Devil by Paul Harvey. If I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have 1/3 of its real estate and 4/5 of its population. But I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple of the tree, thee. So I'd set about however necessary to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of the serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what is bad is good, and what is good is square. And to the old, I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I would get organized. I would educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting, so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I would threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I would peddle narcotics to whom I could. I would sell alcohol to the ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I would tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with the promise of higher ratings, I'd have memorizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects by neglecting to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild until before you knew it, you would have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I would have judges promoting pornography. Soon, I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and defy science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want it until I killed all incentive of the ambitious. And what do you bet? I couldn't get those whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be, and thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing.